Welcome to the Non-Essential Podcast. I'm Steve Gibson.
I'm Ben Matlock. Hi.
How dare you show me up on the intro?
I've done it. I do it every week. Just by being true. Me, baby.
That's fair.
No, you can. Turns out after 150 times of saying your name, you get really bored saying your own name. So
yeah. Usually that's me. I'm not nearly to that extent, but it's usually like, I'm Steve Gibson. You know, something stupid like that. And
yeah, I try to find my vocal range, and I'm still looking. If anybody has seen my vocal range, let me know.
We're the pros that wait until you start recording, and then red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. She sells by the, whatever.
So,
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blah.
So, good day. And then we leave.
Good form this afternoon, evening, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. I'm feeling sharp as fuck today. That's for sure. So, if you haven't heard the show before, we don't just ramble like idiots. That's part of it.
Well, yeah.
But usually something sets us off. And that something is usually a story, and it can be about anything. And I feel like I've been pretty good the last few weeks, bringing original content to the show. So yes. I'm not going to do that this time.
I kind of saw that. That's one of those plot twists that you could see coming.
Yeah. Very telegraphed. But I did go into the Creepypasta well with something in mind, and we've done these types of stories before, and I really like them, and they're the ritual stories. They're like the how-to, how to summon Satan. Why would you want to? I don't know, but there's a guide for that.
Eternal damnation for dummies.
I was just about to go there. So, and, I have no idea how this one is, but there's a million of them. I like them. Today's story is called A Deck of Cards. It's by a user who did not name themselves, at least on the Creepypasta Wiki. So if you did do this, thanks. But I'm not going to go back and edit your name in, so...
no. If nothing else, we're a forward-looking podcast. We do our stuff and then forget about it and move on. Just
look, we put the past in the past, all right? Always charge forward. So, this is a deck of cards. I will immodestly confess to being quite the skilled card player. There are exceptionally few card games which I do not know. Pokemon, Digimon... and that's about it. No. And
I was hoping that was actually where it was going,
and a great deal of those I am practically a master of. What makes card games so fascinating is that every game of the thousands of games you can play with cards involve three key factors. The first key is luck. No matter what skill level you have, the way the cards are dealt is more or less a matter of chance. And if this dude saw any of the YouTube videos of people showing you how they can fuck up a shuffle to be whatever they want it to be, his mind would probably be blown.
Yeah.
You've actually been getting screwed your entire life in casinos if you think it's just luck. Even professional card counters can tell you that sometimes things don't play out the way they expect. There's a miscalculation, a simple dealing error, or a card you are expecting to be further down the deck unfortunately shows up near the top. Luck is always a factor in these games, and in many games, not most, just many, it is the chief factor. This is not something that can be combated, but you can mitigate the damage with the second key. The second key is strategy. Poker, rummy, blackjack, these all at first appear to be simple games of chance, but when you've played long enough, you develop your own style. Are you aggressive, accepting losses in order to get the big payout in the end? Are you conservative, not surrendering stable footing for an uncertain and potentially pricey risk? Each game calls for different strategies, and this is often dictated by your opponent.
I like how they mentioned that and then mentioned two strategies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a game of strategy. You can be aggressive or you cannot be.
If you've ever gambled with me, that is true for me. You can either do nothing at all or you're all in.
Yeah, not a lot of in between.
And I can tell you what I am 9 times out of 10 is all in. Which brings us to the final key, your ability to bluff. Any poker player knows this to be true. You're not playing the cards, you're playing the opponent. Every day in Vegas, there's some ballsy contender, or more often some stoic dealer, who is winning the pot on crap hands by the power of sheer psychological warfare.
Sorry, I'm laughing in the background because I'm an idiot and my mind's shot this week. And so you get to number 3, the ability to bluff. And then, of course, he launches into poker, which is what you expect. My brain launched into, like, blackjack. Sitting there trying to bluff at blackjack. The dealer's like, okay, you've got 18. You're like, or do I?
I'm sure bluffing happens in blackjack if you're, like... it probably has to on some plays where it's like, you know,
well,
you give off the appearance that like if you get a card and a jack, say, and then you say I'll stay, they're gonna probably assume you have like a pretty good hand, and that means they're more likely to bust themselves, right? I've never played blackjack at like a casino, so I don't know.
On a casino, and maybe, I don't know. It's been so long since I played, but I know at a casino your cards are showing. It's not. There's no secret to it.
That's fucking disgusting.
Why I was laughing.
What's the fun?
But that's
there?
why I was laughing. It's not.
Why should I have to show my property to a bunch of fucking gawkers at the table?
Well, the thing is that, when you're playing at a casino, you're literally only playing against the dealer. It's not like whoever gets the highest hand wins. It's just you beat the dealer or you don't. And that's why your cards are showing, is because the casino wants the odds to be.
I don't know. I don't know why anyone would play blackjack, honestly. Poker's way better.
You can lose your money faster at blackjack.
You can lose your money faster at craps. Because I don't understand craps at all, so the dealer could say whatever the fuck, and I'll be out of money.
What I don't understand about craps is there's always one person at the table that gets to roll the die, and I'd be the person on the side, like, move the fuck over. I want to turn. Like, give me those damn dice.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who rolls them, but I'd feel left out.
I just go up to a girl and be like, blow on him, doll, and get fucking slapped.
Yeah, because you do it at a Wendy's, though. Yeah. You wouldn't even be at a casino.
Probably. Probably. Those are the people I talk to.
Anyway, sorry. I amuse myself with these weird, like I say, I could just see they're just sitting there. You've got 18 showing. The dealer's like, 18. You're like, is it?
Okay. Every day in Vegas, there's some ballsy contender, or more often some stoic dealer, who is winning the pot on crap hands by the power of sheer psychological warfare. Don't believe me? Look up Jack Strauss, the man who pulled off one of the greatest poker bluffs of all time. The guy convinced his opponent to give up a fortune in a Texas Hold'em match because he convinced his opponent that he had a pocket pair, when in reality he had the worst hand you could get in the game. I don't think you need a specific example for that. If you know anything about poker, shit like that happens all the time. There's nothing to turn your nose up at. Or that's nothing to turn your nose up at. That is a brilliant bit of bluffing and using the opponent's own keen mind against them. No need to plan ideas when you know how your opponent is going to think. That is partly why I find the game so fascinating. If you're a real psychological whiz kid, you can skate through the game on crappy hole cards. I give you this brief introduction, which really wasn't that brief, not to showcase how brilliant I am, though you are certainly free to think so. Man, fuck this guy.
Yeah, I mean,
you haven't wowed me at all, dude. You told me you watched the World Series of Poker once.
Exactly, that's what I was about to say, for like 10 minutes.
And it's like we've all been depressed at 2 a.m. We've all seen that shit. Okay? I give you this brief introduction not to showcase how brilliant I am, though you are certainly free to think so. I explain this to you because my fascination with cards led me to search through the internet for any new game that I hadn't played. I found a rich tapestry of world card games. Canasta, which fucking really Canasta. That's the game of Satans.
Well, Satans and grandmothers, yes.
I should point out, we say it every time, but I don't think I said it here. I don't pre-read these, so I'm stunned along with you all. Canasta, which originated in Uruguay and became a sensation in the U.S. around the mid-1950s. Double Sir, a Pakistani variation on the game Trumps. Macau, the Romanian version of Crazy Eights. There's no limit to what a properly equipped deck of cards can do. Yes, there is.
For entertain
There's
yourself.
a mathematical limitation. I don't know what it is, but there's absolutely a limit of what you can do with fucking cards. Some games require either a 40-card French deck or a 54-card Tarok deck. Some games even use the custom Pinochle or Pinochle deck. I don't know what that is.
Pinochle.
Pinochle.
Yes.
All right. But those aside, your standard 52-card deck can be used for a lot of fun. And then there's another game you can play. I stumbled across this one completely by chance. I won't tell you where I discovered it. You'll just have to take my word. Suffice to say, I found war on a playground. Suffice to say, through a bit of digging, I found a card game that you can play with a spirit. The game doesn't really have a name, though it was affectionately referred to as the wager game, which sucks.
Yeah, I think if it's going to be a supernatural, like bet your souls what it sounds like type game, you need a more badass name than the wager game.
Well, there's a lot of wager games.
Yeah. But it just sounds like something that a 70s like game show host would be like, it's the wager game.
All right. Because you have to understand the circumstances around what I intend to tell you, I am going to provide details of how the game is played. I strongly urge you not to play this game. Remember,
That's a common theme in these stories. It's like,
even though I'm learning from the master, apparently, at All Things Cards, don't play this. Remember the 3 keys I mentioned at the beginning of this story? Well, suffice to say, the wager game is the absolute pinnacle of these properties. To start, you need a standard deck of cards. That's a 52-card deck. Be damn sure you remove the jokers before you start playing. If it were me, though it doesn't explicitly state this anywhere in the ritual, I would make sure the jokers, as well as any other decks of cards you might have, are far away from where you intend to play. I can't say for certain, but I suspect they would like to cheat. I agree with that. That's probably true.
Yeah. He has me there. I was about to make a smart-ass remark, and then I wasn't considering them cheating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got me, author. Good job.
Busted. You can play on any surface, but a table is preferred. You want to make sure that the area is clear of obstructions and that you can deal the cards efficiently without them sliding all over the place. You don't want any food or drink present. This isn't a damned party. Having these present is usually seen as an insult, and I'm not certain what exactly would happen. So you're telling me, if I have a bottle of Mellow Yellow for them, and, and some Cheetos, they're going to get pissy?
These Cheetos are stale, damn it. I'm haunting your ass.
Like the Doritos dust is how you catch them cheating, because they'll get the dust on the card, and you can tell they're dealing from the top.
You bust out your black light, and you're like, aha! They can see the glowing dust.
Man, if blacklight's shown like Dorito dust the same way they show DNA. All right. The great thing about this ritual, if you can call it great, is that there really isn't that much setup. No arcane chanting, no laundry list of supplies. All you need is your deck of cards and your nerve. When you are ready to play, you need to turn out any unnecessary lights. You should be able to see the card faces, of course, but just barely. Candlelight is good, but I'd prefer something that can't be easily overpowered. A flashlight or a cell phone with a full battery usually does the trick. Other than that, you'll need to be in the dark. Set the deck of cards in front of you, between you and the spot where he will be playing. I should probably mention that if the spot is in any way obstructed, he won't show up. Don't worry, he won't pop out of the walls and drag you to hell or something like that. He just won't appear. Make sure your guest can comfortably sit. If you're sitting at a table, leave a chair for him. If you're on the floor, not recommended. Make sure there's an equal amount of space for him to sit as you. Use your judgment for the best results. The game is played as follows. You are playing with a spirit. There won't be a flash of light or a spectral whispering to indicate that your guest has arrived. You'll just know when he's there. If you do hear something, turn the lights on and get the hell out of there. Do not attempt to play this game again in the same spot. You see, that's
that's weird. It's like you're expecting a ghost, but if you hear a ghost, get the fuck out. Like,
yeah, you want to sit down and play a competitive game with him, but if you hear "sup, bitch," then like you get the fuck out.
Yeah,
he's way better than us. Run.
Yeah, cocky ghost.
You see, that's the tricky thing. You never really know who your opponent is going to be. Some opponents play fair. Others will do anything to you in order to win. You don't want to play with a hostile opponent. You just won't win. Once your docile guest has arrived, you deal each other 3 cards. Don't look at your guest's cards. Don't cheat. Deal them face down. Your guest will know what cards he has to play. From this point, the game becomes rather subjective. The source didn't exactly explain step-by-step rules. There's no scoring, there's just betting. You are betting things precious to you against the spirit, and the spirit is in turn betting something you want. Oh, I forgot that part, didn't I? Yes, why would you want to play a game where you didn't know the stakes? You see, this game, like many other means of communicating with ethereal entities, is supposed to give you primarily knowledge. This version requires less setup, but it becomes a challenging battle of wits. Just beware, you don't have any knowledge that the spirit doesn't, so you don't have anything to wager in that category. What you are wagering is a variety of lovely punishments, which are revealed by the turn of the card. It could be something as simple as destroying a treasured possession to as horrible as committing horrible acts of violence. If you're lucky, you'll only destroy your own life. He's not really selling this to me. I don't know what.
Yeah. Like, I don't see the upside. It's like, but if you lose, you might have to like murder someone and spend your life in jail. But if you win, you'll learn something.
Yeah, it's like those internet trivia things. Click here to find out which president only had one testicle. You know, it's like, how's that help me?
But yeah, besides, it was clearly John One Ball Quincy Adams.
John, he named the ball Quincy. That was
that's where the Quincy came from.
John and Quincy Adams. You begin by playing one of your 3 cards. You choose the card from your hand. I'll explain what the cards do at the end, but suffice to say, your guest always has the advantage of reaction. However, both of you can play from the cards you have in front of you. When the exchange is over, deal him a card first. It's common courtesy, and then deal yourself one. Neither side should ever have more than 3 cards in front of them. Discard used cards in a pile to the side of the deck. Now, I imagine you're wondering, how does he select his card? It all depends upon your opponent. Some simply move the card closer to you. Some might whisper the answer in your ear in a voice you could swear was just your imagination. Some might flat out hand you the card, but if your opponent is ever that forward, I strongly suggest you stop playing immediately.
Again, you want those meek, like the meager ghosts.
Yeah, it's like... that's not being a dick to just hand you the card. It would be a dick if he chucked the card at you.
I think I'd be more concerned about the one that can like psychopathically whisper into my brain, like handing me the card when you already know you're playing against a ghost. It's like, thank you. But if you just hear this voice that doesn't exist but feels like it does exist, that's when I'd be freaked out.
Right. Which brings us to the ending, the ritual. Another great thing about this ritual is that you can quit whenever you want. Simply turn the remaining cards in the deck, if any, face up, and then turn on the lights. You should remain safe, though your experience in the game will give you a better idea of that. If you don't feel safe, leave the place you played and don't come back for a few days. Usually the spirit will have moved on at that point. Now I'll explain what the cards do. There are a few exceptions which I'll note in the end. In the main, here's what these cards do. The suits don't matter. Aces are your best friend, which sounds like a lost James Bond movie.
It does.
These act as protection against whatever the spirit wants you to do. Just be cautious about using these. Remember, you go first and the spirit will, if they are able to, use a weaker punishment in retaliation. Unfortunately, aces are also the spirit's best friend. When they select an ace, you must turn over their other 2 cards and perform their action without any chance to block, even if you have an ace in your hand. Deal the spirit 3 new cards after these are performed. In the unlikely event that 2 aces meet, neither party is obligated to do anything. You can use this move to determine the friendliness of your spirit opponent, as it is a rather selfless thing for the spirit to do, but remember, it could be a bluff. Deuces through 10 can be viewed as severity. For you, it refers to the level of information you can ask. Again, like I say, this is greatly subjective, and much more is revealed about the nature of the game by playing it yourself. But for instance, if you play a deuce, don't go asking for winning lottery numbers. If you're wondering, I wouldn't bother asking with anything less than an 8. With a deuce, you can pretty much ask the spirit what tomorrow's weather will be. For the spirit, as you may have guessed, it refers to pain. A deuce would be equivalent to pricking yourself with a needle, which seems pretty harsh for a needle, or for a deuce to me. Like already I have to bleed for the weakest card in the deck? Fuck you. And a 10 would be pouring burning oil down your back. But don't worry, you don't have to perform the violent action on yourself. You see, the reason the spirit plays the game is not to cause you torment, but to see what kind of player you are. If you would do these actions to another, well, they rather enjoy that. Emotional damage is also acceptable, but again, use your judgment. This is just an example, but a deuce would be tearing up a photo of a deceased loved one, and a 10 would be disowning your children. Some spirits prefer this.
Well, I mean, doesn't that depend on how much you like your children, if it's a punishment or not?
Yeah, I mean, you know. And how good are you? How good of a parent are you? You might be doing them a favor.
How close to Christmas is it? Yeah. You're doing yourself a favor. Be like, yeah, I was about to have to buy you hundreds of dollars worth of presents. Like, you're disowned until January.
See you January 2nd. I need a holiday break. This is just an example, but a deuce would be okay. Some spirits prefer this to physical pain, but trust me, those are the ones that you have to watch out for. A bit of strategy on this one. In my experience playing the game, I found that most spirits, even hostile ones, have a bit of an honor code about this. If they are able to, they will match you number for number. Occasionally, they're one higher or lower, but essentially they try to make it worth your while. Make the answer you want equivalent to the damage you have to cause, you see. Of course, if you find that a spirit plays a low number card on a high number card question, maybe you're better off not knowing the answer. A final note before I move on, spirits cannot lie about the answers they give you. They may be mistaken if you ask something a bit out of their knowledge, but are generally bound to answer as truthfully as possible. What the fuck could a spirit not know?
I was about to say that. Like, it's like, I'm all knowing. You're like, what ingredient? Like, how would I make?
How much would a woodchuck chuck?
Woodchuck chuck.
It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. They can bluff the cards, but not the answers they give. Jacks are prank cards. No, this isn't as fun as it sounds. This is a card where even if you draw it, you lose something. When either you or the spirit plays the card, the spirit plays a prank on you. If the spirit is benign, something might go missing or turn up in an odd place. That's about the best you can hope for. If the spirit is malignant, then you are going to get the piss scared out of you. The spirit can take any number of monstrous forms, perform almost any unspeakable act with the exception of physically harming you. But trust me, that limitation only makes them more hell-bent on getting you. The worst part? They don't have to do this right away. They can wait for later, even after the ritual is over. And don't think about trying to use any protective rituals. They won't work. But remember, they can't physically hurt you, so at least there's that. Queens are universally the worst cards that can be played. So this is like a incel card game.
Yeah.
Honestly, if a queen is dealt, your best bet is to stop playing and leave. And I don't mean go to a neighbor's or something like that. I mean get as far away as you possibly can. This is, mind you, if the spirit plays the card. If you play the card, the queen acts as a throwaway card. Be glad you drew it and not the spirit, but it does nothing. It essentially gives the spirit a free pass to do whatever they want. You might not think to play it, and that's your right, but hoarding queen cards is also potentially problematic. I'll explain why in one of the exceptions. What the queen actually does when a spirit plays it is break the boundary between you. The spirit now has license to harm you, haunt you, follow you to the ends of the earth. Your best bet is trying to get a head start, but I can't guarantee that will work. Kings are free passes. Not much to say here. If you play a king card, you can play another card uninterrupted by the spirit, and the spirit can do the same to you if they play it. An ideal strategy for those seeking information is to pair a king with a 10 and play them together. This will guarantee you get whatever burning question answered, and then you can simply stop playing. However, I recommend you don't do this on your first move if you are lucky enough. Not letting the spirit play will likely anger them, and again, I'm not certain what could happen. Finally, a few...
That's what I was going to say, though. It's multiple times they've mentioned it's like, don't cheat. The spirit doesn't like it. And they're like, don't like cheese the game. The spirit doesn't like it. But then at the same time, there's been many times he said, if this happens, get up and walk away. It's like, so the spirit's okay with you.
Throwing the board over.
You're right. Yeah, it happens.
Flipping the table. Fuck this. Finally, a few exceptions. First, there's the 2 of clubs. If you play hearts, you recognize this as the starting card. Playing this is beneficial, especially if you play during the beginning. The response card will not be an action you have to do to yourself, but will a truthful assessment of your opponent. I don't know what that means. If they respond with a low number, they are a benign entity. Okay, so it must be will reveal a truthful assessment.
Yeah.
If they respond with a low number, they are a benign entity. If they respond with a higher card, well, that's unfortunate. When the spirit plays this card, it functions as a normal deuce. Next is the Suicide King. This is unpleasant. Not the worst card, arguably, but not pleasant. This card is murder. If you play it, it merely functions as a free pass, but when the spirit plays it, you are obligated to either murder somebody or commit suicide. This already ran.
I mean, it's not the worst card, but you might have to kill somebody or kill yourself.
Yeah, it's like the most extreme thing that can happen in this game so far. But you're like, it's not, If you play it, it functions as a free pass or commit suicide. Again, the choice is yours. This is a horrible affair, of course, but some spirits, generally benign spirits, will accept a tribute in place of an actual murder. Awfully good of it.
Here's my Big Mac I was going to have for dinner, and they're like, that's good enough.
If I were a ghost, I'd probably be that way about fast food.
Yeah.
Kill someone, or a number 2 combo.
Make sure the curly fries, not the straight ones.
Well, I'll take either.
Well,
See what they got. Get both if you could.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. But it will be something painful, horrible beyond anything you might do with an ordinary 10. It will be something that will cripple you for life, and yes, if you opt out of the murder, you must perform this tribute to yourself. Finally, the Queen of Spades, the ultimate chance card. If you play it, turn over all your opponent's cards. If they do have a queen, you simply discard these cards, redeal, and move on. If they don't have a queen, then you better start running. Don't bother ending the ritual. Run, because you've given the spirit of the power of a queen and done so willingly. If you're caught by the spirit, again, you can imagine. Suffice to say, nobody's going to find you. It's at this point I should warn you that reneging on something that the spirit has played, refusing to follow through with the torment or murder that was ordered, has this effect. If you lost a wager, cut your losses. If the spirit plays the card, the same effect happens, but the results are opposite. If you weren't hanging on to any queens, then praise whatever entity you worship because you are free from the effects of the queen and can continue playing in safety. If you were, however, hoarding queens because you didn't want to play them and leave yourself exposed, don't bother running. You've already lost everything. The realm in which you will spend the rest of your days is supposed to make hell look hospitable. This is the wager game in all its occult glory. I recommend against playing it despite my own experience with it. Playing against a spirit is a thrill, and the few times I successfully bluff one of them is rewarding. I know exactly when to play what cards and how to avoid the pitfalls. Luck is certainly a factor, as is my own strategy and my own brilliance at bluffing. However, I had the misfortune to get overzealous and made a few mistakes. I played the Queen of Spades in my last game, and my opponent did not have any queens of his own. I miscounted, made a very poor guess about my opponent. He had bluffed me. He's been following me for many nights now. Every time I think I'm rid of him, I see him right on my tail, in the window of a car beside me, on the highway at night, a shadowy figure in a mirror that I only see for a split second. I'm putting this on here to warn you not to play this game, in case you were to stumble across the game on some website. I'm one of the greatest card players of all time, and I lost. What possible hope do any of you have?
I'm teaching you about this game so that you don't play it if you accidentally stumble across this game.
The fucking narrator is maybe one of my favorite assholes. Because he's just, like, sucking himself off the entire story about how smart he is. And he lost. He fucking lost. And he didn't, like, lose in some clever way. It was like, that is a common way you can lose. He knew the rules. A great story. I like that.
Yeah. I don't fully understand the card game at this point, but
it's basically you compare. It's high-low, it's war. But if you win a round, you get knowledge to a point, and if they win a round, you up to killing yourself, get to cause devastating hell. So
yeah, I'll test it out tonight after we're done recording.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like me and you don't have very many friends to play a nice game of cards with, this might be an option. Write in and tell us how your game against the spirit went.
And I like that there was no setup to the ritual other than like make sure they have a place to sit and that your house is tidy and no snacks or drinks.
Yeah,
so if you're really like bored at night and you sit down to play solitaire, but you happen to have an open chair, like does a ghost just show up like, hey, what's up?
I like the motivation there. Just like, I'm so fucking good at cards, I need more cards. It's like
that's what I like to think that the narrator asked when he's like, I put down a 9, which was pretty high, and I won, so I got to ask him an important question. So I asked, how do I get even better at cards? That's it. He sounds like one of these people that's just way too into card games, and I think we all know somebody like that, where like we used to play poker with our friends group, and it was just like it was like a fun thing, and then there's like the one person that's like
shows up with sunglasses. They're the Unabomber. Like they won't talk the entire night.
You're not actually using any specific tactics. You're just like, hey, this is a poker hand. And they're like, I can't believe you fell for the old Berlin double. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, Fred? Yeah. Like, I'm going to go get another beer. No snacks or drinks at the table. That's disrespectful to the game.
I joke about it all the time, but like, type of dude who's like seen rounders one too many times. And he's just like thinking like, oh, I spotted his tell. He gets a beer every time he has a bad hand. It's like, no shit, because we're just dudes hanging out.
Yeah, it's correlation, not causation. Like, I just like beer and I suck at cards. Like it's not a tell.
Like in that movie, what's his name? John Malkovich's character. He the big tail reveal is that he eats Oreos every time he has a good hand. And And it's like,
But if
I
you're
eat
like-
Oreos all the time. I'm not telling you shit.
Yeah. And I think that that's like too obvious of a tell. Like, I think if I was a poker player and that was my tell, like, I would realize I was doing it.
Yeah.
Like, but I need to watch that, because anytime you've referenced a movie, like, you know, the first 10 times I'll be like, yeah, you like that movie. The 11th time I'll be like, okay, I need to watch it.
I fucking love Rounders, but it's one of the dumbest
I know you
poker
do.
movies ever made. That's probably why I love it. Because, like, because Matt Damon is, and it pisses me off a little bit because the dude, Matt Damon, actually plays poker a lot. He's a fan of it. And he does the worst bluffing act I've ever seen an actor do on the final hand, where he's just like all like pouty and shit. And like, but actually he has a good hand, you know, because it's the last hand. So, of course. But yeah, fantastic movie. John Malkovich does an accent that I think is supposed to be Russian, because his name is Teddy KGB in the movie. And it doesn't sound Russian.
I was going to say, and if he happens to be one of the like 8 people listening to the show, stick around. Stick through it. I'm not going where it'll sound, but like, as soon as you like mention a movie and you say John Malkovich is in it, I can kind of picture the quality of the movie, or the tone, I guess, is a better.
Because he's like, Mr. Son of a Beach. You know, it's like, damn, that's
But I
Teddy
love
KGB.
him. I don't want to be like,
Oh,
I don't want to be like, yeah, it's John Malkovich, so it's obviously a terrible movie. I love John Malkovich. He's a great actor. He's fun to watch.
Performance. I'm just saying, it's not Russian.
And I feel like that about all his characters in all of his movies, where there's like something kind of
Inhuman,
hilarious about it, right?
There's something very alien about the people he plays, like
which I assume that's why they made a movie called Being John Malkovich. I've never actually watched that either, but like,
it's everything. Burn After Reading, like I never see him in a role and think he's a part of human society. Like, I feel like he's observing us.
Yeah, but that said, it's one of these, like I always talk about, I'm not one of these, like, I don't really fan out over celebrities. It's not like, oh God, I wish I could meet this person or that person. I enjoy their work, but there are ones that I think it would be cool to, like, if you ended up having a beer with, like, just organically, and not like being this weird, like, puppy following them around. You know, I hate that. But he's one of those that I think if you were like just at a bar, like low key chill, just like he's next to you and you're both drinking, like,
I would annoy the hell out of him.
Would be very interesting. What's that?
I would annoy the hell out of him.
Oh,
it wouldn't
well,
last
yeah.
2 seconds next to me, because I keep bugging him about Rounders. And he'd be like, I've made so many other movies.
He's like, he'd probably be like, I don't even remember that movie. Like, what are you talking about?
I'd be like, you fucking remember. You don't forget when you played Teddy KGB.
Teddy KGB.
Fuck you.
But yeah, no, he genuinely seems like somebody that would be very worthwhile to like have a beer with. Yeah. But yeah, I've not seen it. I need to see it, and I'm curious if any ghosts making an appearance.
Edward Norton, who's sadly no longer with us. I love Edward Norton too.
Yeah.
He's good. He's great in that movie also. He really gets to flex his acting muscles by being a wormy piece of shit. In fact, I think his character's name is Worm. Anywho, that's the show this week. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all go lie down.
Yeah, go play war with some demons or ghosts or spirits or whatever. I don't know.
Whatever you do. Whatever you do, keep my name out of it.